Good evening. Welcome to Ubuntu channel. And tonight we do have, the usual program that we bring you every Saturday at 20 hours, and we are slightly late due to some technicalities. This program is called My Point of View, and we get to bring you headlines of the week, stories of the week. Then we get to react to them. If you are following right now, we are actually inviting you to participate right in this program by adding your voice to actually the stories that we are going to present to you. You can get to drop us a comment in the comment section, or you click on the link and join us on set. On the program, My Point of View, my name is Chaza right here as your host, and I'm joined by Mukelebai right here as one of the analysts getting to react to the stories that we do have tonight. Mr. Mukelebai, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Chaza, and good evening, viewers. Thank you once again for having allowed us to be on your show again, and looking forward to the stories that you have lined up for us this evening.
Beautiful. It's always my pleasure to have you right here, Mr. Mukelebai.
The feeling is mutual. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In case you are just wondering, my background is dark, and it looks like it's an effect, but this is due to some circumstance in terms of illumination. Anyhow, we do proceed into the program. Let's get to view the first story, and on the other side we get to have reactions.
We reached out to all these key members of the IMF to say to them, we are due to receive $188 million from the IMF, but the MOU, the creditors, has not been signed. Could you help us to lobby around so that this MOU is signed, number one. Number two, also to lobby and say, in the event that this MOU is not signed quickly enough, can there be flexibility? Can the IMF show flexibility and still release the money, because it is not our fault? Okay, so these are the 2 points that we lobbied these other countries for.
That is the first story that we have tonight, and without much ado, I get to invite Mr. Mukelebai to react to that.
Well, I have no much privy information over that issue myself, but what I can only say is that I believe this is what the president meant when there has been these discussions with other neighboring countries that were supposed to sit and sign some agreement, some memorandum of understanding. I believe I'm yet to get the facts ready, but on the issue with the IMF, I believe the government is on track. They are doing everything possible, and this is where I always wish that the previous regime, some of these people that were involved in the borrowing, this is the time where we were supposed to also, this is just my opinion, involve them, bring them on the table, because they are the ones that sat down and borrowed. And they are the ones that knew the conditions, despite the conditions being in black and white. But these are the people that had the even the morale when they went to borrow, we know how they carried themselves on that message they went to sell. So we need to also somehow, I feel that we should have involved some of these guys to come in, those that meant well, despite having been given a lot of warnings by the then the opposition, which is UPND by then, that they were doing their borrowing carelessly. They were supposed to be very careful. But at the end of the day, they were using the name of our country, and the monies that they got, it was for the country. It is for us, the Zambians. And now here we are going back to negotiate or to ask for monies from the IMF. The IMF are already cleared. There's a green light. The only few things, technicalities remaining are to make sure that the creditors are all happy and ready to append their signatures or to have an agreement. So we want to wait. We are waiting as well. But I believe they are going to have something positive. We're just crossing our fingers, hoping that something positive is going to come out of this. We are very, very sure that something very, very positive is going to come out. So we just need to pray. Otherwise, ichalo chesu twala chula kunkongole batushira ba PF. And all these are the doings of PF. Even though we don't want to talk about them, or they don't want to hear us mentioning their names or mentioning their party, but they left us with a huge liability. It's like they left us with a tattoo that will take time for us to erase or to remove. So and we are just pushing the leaders to do something really. I know they are spending sleepless nights to finally come up with proper work regarding creditors and borrowing a little bit of money that will sustain our economy. So it will go a long way. We have so many projects that our country needs to embark on right now, and money that needs to be paid to the Zambian people right now. But without any input from the muscle, the financial institution that have the muscle, that have the capacity, we will struggle. There will be a lot of turbulences ahead of us. We are still in this deep trouble, deep hole for some time. It will take time for us to eradicate this economical hardship. The dent was just too much. That's my opinion.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mukelewa. We do appreciate your opinion there. And each one is actually having their own opinion. And just in case you are following and you'd like to make us, know that, what your opinion is, you can definitely get to send us that message in the comment section. Let's proceed to the next item.
Front for not complying with the Civil Societies Act. The Registrar of Societies has cited the failure by the Patriotic Front to comply with the order to avail a full and complete list of the office bearers. This is according to a letter to the PF Secretary General dated 15 April 2023 and signed by the Chief Registrar of Society, Tandiwe Pembe. This says, while it is a legal requirement for every society to avail 10 office bearers, Information and Publicity Chairperson Raphael Nakachinda, who confirmed the development that the ministry said the reasons raised by the Registrar of Society in the notice of intention to register the PF are not convincing and are based on misinformation. He said the party will respond to the Registrar of Societies and ensure that all issues are clarified. Mr. Nakachinda said it is unfair for the Registrar to issue a notice in that manner when most issues are administrative. He further alleged that people are pushing for the deregistration of the party and want to suppress the opposition.
There we have it. A story there about the PF and, deregistration, or actually the, preparations or warnings as pertains, the current situation, in the PF. Let me invite Mr. Mukelebai to actually add his voice right to this story.
Thank you so much, Chaza. Well, the PF, they are going to look at this issue as a political move when it is a legal requirement. See, that's the problem. And you can hear their responses. You can hear how they are trying to run around, coming up with all these reasons. But the registrar has just put it clear there to say these are the legal requirements. Why don't you avail the registrar with this information? Simple. It's not even a political issue. There's no politics involved in this issue. This is a game of the lawyers that should advise, the very secretary generals, the very party member. This is where they have to use their knowledge, because you can't just be a secretary general of a party or some of MCC when you don't have any know-how on how this party you belong was registered. What are the documents that are at the registrar of associations? What is it that they have done? Who is the legal holder? Who are the members? You see, the PF had slept. They were so much, they concentrated so much in running and politicking the country, forgetting about the simple legal requirements. This
Mr.
has
Mukelebai,
happened.
and I've actually heard, in the story that this has been the case. They have not, been satisfying the requirements since 2011.
Yes. You see, we have also MMD, you remember, was almost deregistered as well.
I do remember.
It's because when the MMD, they've defaulted, they were failing to even pay those statutory requirement fees. And for 20 years, because they were in power, because when they're in power, they thought they ran everything. They ignored even these little details. And then until they were confronted with that huge bill, it's almost there were hundred of million kwacha that they were told, they were compelled to pay. And they had to sit down and negotiate because they saw that this is beyond politics. These are legal issues. And this is what the APF also ignored. And this is also should be a wake-up call to the UPND, because they may think because they're in power, then it's not necessary for them to pay those statutory requirements or to fulfill those legal requirements, information or documentation that are required by the chief of registrar at the association. They have to provide the registrar with all the information. And this is what the PF ought to have done, but they instead ignored. And when they are confronted, asked, they want to play this victim card or political card, that this is in a line of persecution or wanting to deregister the political party. That's not true. If the information was clear, there was nothing, there were no lacunas, this current registrar would not even have had the time to even write to them, request for those information. But when those information were requested, it meant that that information was missing. Mm-hmm. So it was imperative for the association to ask, to request, and it's also give a warning. And they gave that warning. And if they chose to ignore the warning that were given, or they go and give false information, the association will they'll sit down and use the law. Indande fekutira ati ama lawyers ba PF n'abanaka, they are getting tired of providing free legal services, because I believe balefirwa n'okufirwa ama client babo kubalipira empia, because too much pro bono over simple things, because these are jobs that simple, just paralegal officers can do for the party and help them to say this is nothing. These fingerprints and what is this police clearance? Do you need to go and hire the whole law firm to come and represent you over this small information? But PF bale bako serious. So I'm just happy. I'm just hopeful that they have cleared and paid off. Paid off the fees and submitted all the required information. So we put this matter to rest. They will be free. They will never be deregistered. We need a strong opposition. Right now, the strong opposition party that we have is really limping, and we are worried as a country. We want the PF to continue to be registered, but if they don't follow the right procedure, the rule of laws, then I'm sorry, Membe will take over as a major opposition party if they are not careful. So for now, we need the PF. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mkelevai. We've been joined by CJ, Chibonta Jule, right here on our set, and he's smiling. He's ready to actually add his voice to this story that we are looking at. CJ, welcome, and good evening.
Thank you very much, Aza. Good evening, Mkelevai. Good evening, viewers.
Quickly, what's your reaction to this, story?
Well, it's an interesting one. It's interesting, especially how the PF threw this thing into media, social media, and I don't know if they're trying to get some sympathy, or I don't know. If you look at the genesis of this whole matter, I was listening to Ambassador Mwamba, who was explaining this thing was started, originates from Matero Member of Parliament. His name has gone. Mao Sampa. Honorable Mao Sampa. Okay? So with the issues that they were having with Honorable Sampa petitioned the registrar, okay, to enforce certain provisions, okay? And you find, so some of these things started from there. So it was started by their own, okay? It is something that was started by their own and not the ruling party. So for them to bring it out and say, no, it's the government that wants to do this, that, I think on one hand, that's not really fair. All that they needed to do, just like Mkelevai has said, is submit the names. I saw a copy that was circulating on social media where they submitted the remaining names. They just needed to do that from inception instead of getting into social media and pushing this, that, and there. I think it was really unnecessary. PF is a big party. PF is a big party, and they just need to do these things. They don't even need to bring them into public domain and create this and that kind of notion and the like. That is my opinion. I feel they didn't handle it well. All they needed to do is to submit the names, full stop, and move on. Thank you. That's my submission on that one.
And this system, just to add on to Wosije and Chaza, then this system of naming all the government institutions, you know, painting them with this political paint that they are being biased, they are doing this to persecute or to, when they are simply following the right procedure, should actually be done away with. This, because these guys have propagated so much, they have played their propaganda card so very well that people are now beginning to question institutions, the court system, the associations, the societies of rich, all these government wings, they are being questioned. But they should not forget that those institutions will never change. Politicians will come in and go out, but those institutions will remain the same. It was not UPND government that registered the EPF into the association. No, the society. I mean, it was maybe during MMD time. So I don't understand why they should now point a finger to start blaming the current government, say they have a hand in this. That's not true. They create their own problems. They have some inner fightings, and then they come and blame Imwema spectators. That's not fair.
Anyway, there are assumptions that probably Honorable Sampa is being sponsored, or there's a hand from UPND that is kind of making use of Honorable
an
Sampa's
invisible hand.
Yes.
No, that's the work. That's the work of propaganda. That's the work of the propagandists. They created.
Also, the other thing, again, they are also riding on is that of late, in terms of UPND, the governance, there's been occasions where the minister says this, and then what happens is something else. So what appears on the ground seems to be different from what the minister said. So even all these situations, are fueling and making it easy for them to push a certain narrative, and it's easy for people to fly with them. So and that's the kind of politics that we have in Zambia.
Thank you so much. We do appreciate Mr. Mkeleba. I think at this point in time, we'll quickly move to the next story. And, we get to react to some other dimension right there. But just like Mr. Mkeleba indicated, we do need, the PF, because they are the big, this, opposition party. And I was even imagining if they were deregistered, I think, the government would actually get in a lazy man's chair. A thing that I wouldn't like to see. Let's proceed to the next story and see you on the other side.
An eagle's eye view of the Central Business District, CBD, shows a swelling population of vehicles against an area which has not expanded to absorb the shocks. Parking is on a first come, first park basis. Once one misses a slot next to their destination, it's either they stray onto some islands or park behind other vehicles. Lusaka City Council officers are always at hand to control the situation.
More especially this area, from the roundabout to the roundabout, we always face this challenge. One wants to remain in the vehicle. One wants to remain in the vehicle for you to keep watch. If someone wants to come out, you reverse.
Probably when the planning was done, I think they didn't envisage that they're going to have such kind of flow of traffic. And now to find the CBD seems to be a bit shrinks.
Okay, I think parking has been a challenge. Yeah, I don't know, maybe something can be done. Because usually, like you can see, I'm alone. Then I can't park. If I want to go inside the shop or inside the bank, I'll be cramped, so to say.
But local government minister Gary Nkombo is aware of the situation. And he tells this reporter on phone that solutions are coming.
It's further degenerated into our people turning that whole CBD into a garage. So there are a lot of vehicles that are under repair in the CBD. They have also made the CBD a showroom for cars. So people go and park cars early in the morning for purposes of advertising. Engage the Ministry of Transport and Logistics, who in turn convened a meeting with Zambia Railways, and we agreed that we're going to move all those car dealers who are in town, including those ones at the Freedom Statue, to the land between the rail line and EML in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, other challenges in the CBD include the sale of meat products in the open, as well as alcoholic beverages. Penlop Sikazwe, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
There we have it, an issue to do with, parking in the CBD right there in Lusaka. Let me invite, CJ to come first and get to add his voice to this issue before we get to Mr. Mkelevai. CJ.
Thank you, Chaza. Parking in Lusaka. Parking in Lusaka is a problem. And council needs to find alternative, let me say, a solution to this one. I don't know what they have on their sleeves, but one of the things that I've also noticed, especially along Freedom Way, along Freedom Way, the buses there worsen the situation. The time that police officers had been put there, that road had become free, and even in terms of parking, it wasn't, let me say, it had improved. Along Chachacha, it's also something else. In the clip, Honorable Nkombo mentioned about the people that sell cars who park in town. There are vehicles that do that, though they created a place for them somewhere in Kamwala. There's a place just opposite the Freedom Statue. You find a lot of vehicles for sale there. Unlike the way it was in the past, because Unkwazi Road as well as Katondo Street used to be filled with these same cars that car dealers sell, and they would display them there. But right about now, that has improved. If you go along Katondo as well as Unkwazi, there are not so many vehicles that are written for sale that are there, compared to the way it was before they allocated that area for them. So parking, it is a real problem in the CBD, and maybe they need to create alternative secure places where vehicles can park and then you walk to do your other stuff in town. But looking at the way the town is designed, it's quite a challenge. I don't know what proper solution or long-lasting solution they can put in place, unless maybe they're going to build parking spaces, whether they're underground or overhead, that kind of a thing. I think that's my submission for now.
Thank you so much, CJ, and definitely it brings about some contemplation, and the solution probably would be a long-term one. And the question is, do we have that capacity, to have, things like bullet trains, parking spaces, high-rise kind, and so on and so forth. Yeah, Mr. Mkelewai, what's your, viewpoint there?
Thank you so much, Chaza. It's a quite. I think the issue of the traffic congestion and parking, it has hit Zambia for the past 15 years. I think Zambia has developed so much when it comes to transportation. People, in Africa, when you buy a vehicle, you are considered that you are now somewhere there, and everyone, the working class has really increased, and the population as well has increased, and everyone with a good lifestyle, they are able to purchase the second-hand vehicles. Others, they are buying new vehicles, and you find that and we have fewer roads, and that's why I believe this is what precipitated the PF government to invoke this project, the infrastructure projects that they undertook. Unfortunately, the way they built few roads. I believe, especially during Vasata, I saw that some areas were tarred. They built extra roads. But during Walungu, there has been just concentrated in shopping malls and flyover bridges. I don't know, those humps, you call them fiber bridges, but what effects have those done? Have they decongested our transport system today? But an effort was made. And this is where we have to look at, what about today? The current government, what is the solution? I believe they have also a plan to continue where the previous government left, to decongest the city by either building up more shopping centers around, a little bit further from the city, so that people will be, instead of all of us doing our businesses in the center, but we have the varsity areas to go to and do the shopping. Planning of for cars, like CJ put it, for car parks, it is very important. This is where our government, local authorities, our engineers in the department should look at alternatives. Yes, they could also be underground. Are we there yet? Yes, we have. Now, do we have the capacity? Yes, we do, but currently we are still solving more bigger challenges, the debt that was left by our brothers and sisters from the previous regime. And this is where now people also should identify this as an opportunity, especially business-minded people, entrepreneurs. They can also come up with, buy pieces of land in town, a commercial place, and then they build a double-story, three-story, just for parking, car parking, where they could make money. Because government we should not just look at government, but we should look at this as an opportunity for business-oriented people to buy a huge piece of land nearby, where they can build 3, 4, 5 stories building for just car parking. And also, my other point was, maybe the WANAPSA, they are known for having monies from the contributors, they could also invest in that area as well. I mean, it may sound like funny, but
no, on the first one, there's no land in the CBD. There's no land.
No land, my brother.
On
land.
The NAPSA one, NAPSA, they do have a parking lot, and then Central, that's Society Business Park. They do have some parking space, but I don't know if a lot of people make use of that one. It's a fee paying.
Yes, that people should. So you mean? Do you tell me that everyone, those that are busy crying for congestion parking in Lusaka City, they don't pay any fee for parking? Because we are supposed to pay. Anybody?
Yeah, they do pay.
Yeah, they are supposed to pay. There's nothing for free. You know, if you want to go in the city and live and do your business in the city, you must have either a private area, parking area where you pay monthly, or you are anywhere that goes and pay. And if you haven't paid, they can come and cramp your tires or tow. You know. So, but that is how. Yeah, but that is how we can deter the issue to do with congestion. And please, my fellow Zambians, it's not that everyone. Mungankale na mamotoka stikule sana. You can buy mamotoka. That's what the president was also saying. The VX mfuna muende. You don't need to buy to go to town with a car when you know for sure that there's a lot of traffic jam. You can simply utilize motorbikes, simple motorbikes, or even a bicycle. Manje problem timaseka. Muntu aenza mjinga mumuseka ati but ati bachita bwanji bale chula. You know, sometimes use also public transport. My buses bafuna bapangeko ndrama na beve. Use public transport.
Maybe if they introduced an electric train, because it would be efficient in terms of time. Not my bus.
But if people are still insisting to drive their own cars, how are they going to? Who will ride in the electric train? Problem Muzambe, tufukonda maningi luxury. We want to luxury, and this is what is going to cost us. One, it was going to cost our time. That's why you find that we don't mind olotachedwa. We don't mind to keep time because we don't care what time can do. We don't care that time is money. So we would rather sit and get stuck in traffic and then call when you have a meeting in 1 hour, then in the traffic you take 2 hours. And then you go and just give an excuse. Sorry, traffic. Then that's all. Life continues. You have lost out.
But you know, time, that's what makes people get cars. Because you need to move from point A to point B. You cannot always rely on public transport. Okay? Because public transport has got certain routes. Yes.
Public transport in our country, you know, many a times that you'll be disappointed. It will be waste.
Yes.
Because instead of taking probably an hour to reach your destination, you take 3 hours, and you can't control them because they are following.
Let's expand my road.
So you find a private vehicle becomes a necessity if you are to do your business well.
Anyway, and those who are complaining of traffic jam, tizakambati niva javali na drama. Those who have affluent, who are okay in society, who can afford to buy a car. But an average Zambian right now wants to have food on the table and to have their meals reduced, the prices and stuff. But otherwise, and then you see how Mamotoka, Yanapaka, everyone wants to drive. It's okay. But we have to also look at the area where we are driving these cars that we keep on buying every day. How many cars we clear every day? You know?
We quickly need to get to the next story, but
Yes, let's just move on because in Kenya traffic, Sizakasira, because mu MMD we talked about traffic, parking, mu PF West, Namanje. Now 1 year later, 1 year 7 months, we're still talking about this, and people are still buying. People are still buying more vehicles.
Well, I think quite enough on this one. Let's quickly get to the next story and see you on the other side.
Okay. Let's move on.
Right. We proceed.
He was welcomed with songs and dances when he landed. He was welcomed with songs and dances when he landed at Calabar grounds. President Hakainde Hichilema, accompanied by 3 cabinet ministers, Chipoka Mlenga, Elias Mubanga, Elvis Nkandu, and Northern Province Minister Leonard Imbao, visited Katilye Ward of Lupososhi District to thank the electorates over the victory in the past local government by-elections. The head of state is grateful to the people for putting his government in the office and that his government is determined to take development across the country.
All the delays in CDF disbursements, we are going to clean them up. We are cleaning them up in 2023. Look here, the money must reach the people. We want the women funds to be accessed by women, youth funds to be accessed by the youth, and also projects such as putting fish ponds here. Abantu Besu must be able to access CDF to put fish ponds here so that they can make money and look after their families.
Earlier, President Hakainde Hichilema interacted with the traditional leaders.
The chiefs of the Benamkulu, they further appreciate the partial withdrawal of the retired and the civil servants. This is a welcome move that our people are appreciating to the government.
Unity and development. Well touched. That's all. So the way we will pay back Abantu Besu who have given us is to deliver development. But we will not deliver development failing kwa mashafu. So tuwepo tuombe chapamo na washafu.
Taonga Nkoma reporting for Zanis in Lupososhi District.
There we have it. The president, went back to say thank you to the people that, voted for their party in the recent, by-elections. Let me invite Mr. Mkilebai to, add his voice to this story. Mr. Mkilebai.
Thank you. Thank you, Chaza. Well, it is important that feedback is important given to the people. But the president should not just thank the people that voted for his party. He should have also thanked for those people that did not vote for him. He is the president of all the country, even for all political parties. He is the president of the nation. So his visit was important, yes. He should have just gathered everyone and speak to them. Of course, he talked about unity and he talked about working together with the traditional leaders, the chiefs, which is very important. And even under these difficult circumstances, the difficult challenges that this government is working under, this issue to do with the economy that they took over from. It's not easy. Yeah. Many people are still doubting, especially those who are buying the propaganda. They think this government is failing, but yet you see the dividends so far from the few progresses that they have made, that you hear people giving positive feedbacks to the government, or not just because they see the video cameras or they see the president, but you can tell that these people are happy. And the most important issue that I'm happy with, is the education aspect. People are no longer talking about, tizalipira drama, tizalipira ma school fees, no. Right now, parents, they are busy fighting for kushito bunga, and maybe this government now that should fight for is to, how do we mitigate the price, the skyrocketing of commodities? And if they can just put up some kind of, because Zambia, we are so many people are still living under less than $1. It's only those who are privileged, who are in these big cities, who are getting more monies, who are driving, complaining even about congestion. But those people in the rural areas, they don't think about those things. That is not even their problem. Their problem is, how do we put food on the table, and hence the appreciation of that partial withdrawal, because there are so many civil servants and people that have worked in the big cities, and because of the high cost of living in big cities, they've decided to relocate to rural areas where they can manage to live under those less than $1. And then there's this law that they pass to say people should come and withdraw their partial. It is their money. Now they even have the capacity to go. Bambi bali shweno kushut up, I think next year in death, because life yashup. Then kaisa isaka life save. ka partial withdraw, ka 20%. That has helped many people, just hoping that they are going to utilize their money safely or reasonably. Otherwise, it's a welcome move that the president should go to rural areas or to places where the election took place and they won or they lost. But the president should also be going to thank the participants, the people that participated in the by-elections, whether they are from the ruling party or from the opposition. He is the president, he is the head of state. That's my take.
Thank you so much, Mukelebai. We do appreciate. I think, I can't make it better than you have done. Yes, indeed. Appreciation is very important, and what the president did is definitely a positive gesture, and we really commend that. This is Ubuntu Channel's My Point of View, and just in case you're just joining us, welcome aboard. And if you'd like to add your voices, to the stories that we are submitting to you, you can actually get to drop us a comment right in the comment section, or click on the link. Then you get to join us right on set right here, and you get to react. Let's move on to the next story.
Provision of social services like health and education has improved in Lunte District, Northern Province. This is because various areas and government buildings are now connected to the national grid. Some residents compare the situation then and now.
Natukwata ukupalamikirwa efintu fitwale echuliro kwenda distance kwa kasama ifya pale minani, then ifya bakery nomba desanapala abantu nabisura bakery.
Mukupaka Oma School and the surrounding communities have all been connected.
And we are grateful to the government for actually connecting us to the national grid. Without power, it was very difficult for us to operate the computers and even teach computer lessons.
Abana b'eskulu amalaiti yale bafwako mukuberenga munshita yabushikuli ntubafuma ko skulu era nombe nshita yabushikubala abelenga.
Electricity in this area has also helped health facilities to stock the necessary medicines.
So kwaleva fyo muntu nga chakoba tinalwala fyakweba ti tefya kuti bamuchite treat pali nishikuba chitarifa ku kumpolokoso na nkulu wingu so nga baba chitarifa kumpolokoso pakutila bamone means ya transport na fya leshupa pakuti bale pali ino chitapena kwene fintu na fyanguka po fyangukire kabiri ama fridge to alikwata ama vaccines to akwata file umutikuba letera fya abantu file sungwa pala peni.
Meanwhile, Lunte District Commissioner Joseph Chilando says the electrification of Lunte will spur development.
They have brought power here. We are now connected. All the government institutions have been connected. See, not only here, even in other places, but within Lunte District.
Established through Act number 20 of 2003, the Rural Electrification Authority, REA, has continued to connect rural areas to the national grid. To this effect, government has this year set aside 750 million kwacha for rural electrification. Lucky Piri, ZNBC News, Lunte.
Development right on the doorstep for the Lunte people as they have received, electrification of the area. CJ, your reaction? Tapia CJ probably is having, an issue to do with connectivity. Let me invite you, Mr. Mkelebai.
Thank you so much, Chaza. This is these are the dividends of long-term plans. Okay, I believe this rural electrification project started in, as the reporter put it, was it 2003? And if you look at 2003, is it 2003? Which government at that time was in power? Mm-hmm. And then you look at and now that today people are receiving this, and it's quite even late. People of Lunte should have had this electrification of their district maybe 20 years ago, and we need electrification of all rural areas. We are in a 21st century where we are using technology. We do not expect our rural areas to have no power today, or not even internet facilities today, when the whole world is moving at a very high speed in terms of technology. Education, when you give education is equal, should be equal for everyone, not only benefiting those living in urban areas, and those in rural areas, they are not entitled to computers or network, other things, because of certain developmental challenges that politicians choose to look on the other side. Instead, they bought Indeke, instead they bought fire tenders, instead of putting that money in rural areas to electrify. Nama city today Kalamwana ngayali bakali decongested, because people would go back and do their businesses in rural areas and develop our homes. But instead, you can't even take development to a place where there's no electricity, because it's going to be costly. So this is the right move. And these reports that are coming, I'm not going to point a finger at anybody to say you have done a good job, but this is a job well done. I'm just feeling sorry. We ought to have had this a long time ago. Why are we having this rural electrification today when we should have had this yesterday? So they delayed. And this is a wake-up call for this current government, that these projects that are still sleeping, should be awakened and be fixed, because Zambia is not Lusaka, because that's the mistake that these politicians that we elect in offices make. They think just because they can drive from their home to their office in the big city, and that's it, that's the country. Bapanga kunotuma humps, speed humps, that's development. You're forgetting that Zambians live, many Zambians, the all 20 million population live outside. In Lusaka, maybe we are only, how many are you there in Lusaka? You're only about 3-4 million. The rest of the population, they live in rural areas. So those are the majorities. And that's where we should take development to the majorities, not the minorities in Lusaka who have everything. Internet, hence nama congestion. We are not even worried, some of us, for congestion in Lusaka, because in Zambia, we go and live in Kaoma, there's no congestion there. It's a free work. Na ya kumongu, na ya ikalira kulia, just go and fish. There's newly tapi there, and but the problem is there's no proper development, because mwali wakanina, mwali chelwa, or you refuse to take Amalite on time. People need electricity. They need to have a fridge. Listen to the benefits that those people are talking about. Why should we talk about those today? We needed this yesterday, and we should fix this immediately. It is a right, not just a privilege, to have electricity. It is our legal right, or our natural right, to have electricity, just the way we have cell phones and communication facilities. To rural areas, Zambia is not Lusaka. I repeat, Zambia is not Lusaka. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bom Kelebai. We greatly appreciate that. And it appears CJ has, got a connectivity challenge there. At this point in time, we'll quickly get to the next story. And if CJ will be with us, we'll give him an opportunity to add his voice thereupon. Let's get to the next story.
Like I said, first, there's a Zambian standard that we look out for, ZS 38553, under the installation of underground tanks at service station, which prescribe all the safety requirements. And so in these safety requirements that are prescribed, previously there was no distance that was indicating the proximity between a service station and a residential house. However, in 2022, you might wish to know that the Energy Regulation Board, to enhance safety, now introduced a safety requirement, which requires now the tank farm or the service station, which is the most hazardous zone at the service station, to be at least 40 meters from a boundary with a residential house. And to just take you back, so the issue with construction of service station and residential areas and residential houses has been that members of the public were given an opportunity to object in terms of if they feel it was not safe, and they forward those reasons at the ZEMA stage, at the environmental impact assessment stage, which is handled by ZEMA, and at the local authority stage. So when EIB comes in now, look at the safety features in line with that specific standard, ZS 38553. Which would now prescribe those distances, the safety distances. And part of the safety distances is that in urban areas, no service station is allowed to have above ground tanks. This is a safety consideration to ensure that in case of a fire, all the fuel would have to burn underground and not be able to spread
everywhere. So because of competition, they have decided to go in areas where they are closer to the people, they're providing a service, and then from there, you have now people coming down to residential areas, but there was no law that stopped anybody from setting up even previously if they wanted to. So there must be clarity over that, because what we are hearing most is why now, why now? Even in the past they could have set up. But we are coming now from a scenario where we had a few, but now we have a lot more. So people are going to, it's, for example, for people who are here, it's closer to where they are. They don't have to find the next station. Even when we have had challenges sometimes of stockouts in certain stations, it has been easy. You just move to the next station, which is near you.
Generally, the services are number of times that I've had to buy anything from whether fuel or any of the oils, engine oil or whatever from my vehicle. I think I've found the other services okay. Yeah. So I guess there are maybe one or two other service stations that I've visited. Generally, they are
has been consulted. The local councils have been consulted, and by the time the construction permit is being granted by ERP, all safety standards have been taken into consideration, and then there's a service station placed there. So it is safe, and it is not something that should be of concern, because the different institutions that are involved are here to ensure that the interests of the Zambian publics are always safeguarded. And then regarding the refueling of PSV vehicles, and indeed any other vehicle that is loaded with a number of people in it, we keep emphasizing that the public have a key role to play. They have to appreciate that it is for their safety when they are requested to step out of the vehicle. From the time that it is entering, they can easily step out, walk out to the exit point, allow the driver to refuel the vehicle, and then they go and embark at the end of the process. However, we note that in most cases, the passengers themselves are quite rigid and resistant to this appeal from the service providers at the filling stations. The service providers who regulate at ERP will usually request the driver to ask the passengers to disembark, but the resistance is usually from the passengers. So for us here, we're appealing to the passengers to say it is for your own safety, because the entrance of the vehicle is limited to one person at a time. So imagine you have 13 of you, something happens, the scampering that will take place will cause even more injury and there will be loss of life. So
there we have it, a story about filling stations or fuel stations getting closer to the vicinities of habitation, people's houses, and so on and so forth. So some clarifications and explanations are made there. CJ, are you there?
Yes, Charles, a bit of connectivity issues.
Okay, it's good that you are back here, and please do get to add your voice to this story.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good move, provided that those safety standards are met, and in practice, those are really safe parameters. That is the distances between houses and the like, that filling stations should be able to set up their tanks and everything. It's a good thing when you have these facilities nearby. Yeah, as citizens, we get concerned in case vabumuka. Ero nyumba the next door. Such kind of concerns. But provided those distances that they've put, and from the explanations where they are saying if the tanks are underground, it means the fire won't go out. Okay, it will just be underground. Well, I would say that is good. Yeah, that is good. If those really just at Kurikaja, Murine, I still have that picture that I see, whether it's from movies or the tanks that we've seen that have caught fire, the kind of damage that happens.
Just like that tanker in Lusaka West that we saw recently.
Yes. Yes, so there's just that feeling that you get to worry and say, maybe isivifuna ukonkarapa fupi maningi because Petro mwene tizivira sichintu chosoberesa. It can be it's dangerous when it catches fire. Yeah. So yeah, those are the concerns that are pretty much there. There was that concern again where she raised of passengers not complying with the order of getting down a public service vehicle when they are refueling. Mostly, it's like that rule came up after there was an incident where the late President Mwanawasa should be, I don't know if it's the mother or mother-in-law, was involved in such a situation where a bus caught fire, it was carrying petrol or something like that. That's when they enforced some of those rules whereby you can't even get fuel from a filling station using a plastic container. It has to be a metal can or a jerry can. So because of that, you find people also received that with mixed feelings, because they say even before tenze kunyamula fuel muma containers, needed to mverapo at filling station ya buka. So it feels like an inconvenience because such cases we haven't had. I don't remember of a case where a filling station caught fire and there was an explosion or of that. I don't remember. I know I would have to be corrected on that one. So you find people tend to be reluctant and they don't want to comply based on that. I think I'll end here for now. Thank you.
All right, CJ, thank you. We do appreciate. Mr. Mkelewa, what's your take on this issue to do with fuel stations?
Again, I wonder why today, not then. I was in Lusaka last year. I don't know. When people talked about infrastructure, I had no idea that every 300 meters I'm moving, I'll find a filling station. Either sometimes you find filling stations opposite each other. There's one on the other side, there's another one on the other side. And those filling stations, they are in residential areas. Just behind the gas station, there are nice, beautiful mansions, multi-million-dollar mansions. And you look at the filling stations as well, the gas stations, they are also beautifully made, that this person really used a lot of money to come up with such kind of projects. And they are mostly privately owned. And one wonders, how did they come up with this plan? Because they were looking at the issue to do with profiting from the business, but they forgot one important aspect: safety. And we Zambians, we are a reactive nation. We only react when there's an issue, but we are very, very reluctant on a preventive aspect. It's not just Zambia, in Africa, not just general. We are very reluctant on preventive aspect. Any preventive project will receive a lot of negative or shooting down. If people even who don't want to spend money on a preventive issue, they would rather start contributing or rather say something or support when lives have been lost, and especially when one who is in authority's family, who's in authority, got affected or was involved. That's where you see now people running around. So this move of 40 meters from the ERB, this rule, it's a very welcome rule, and we should embrace it. And now there will be an issue. Question is, what are they going to do about those infrastructures that are already there near the proximities of less than 40 meters with residential areas? Are they going to close them, or are they going to give them alternative? Or are they going to compensate the owners of the residential areas, or relocate them to other places, or relocate the owners of the filling stations elsewhere, or closing down? Because this law, we can't ignore this law. If it is enforceable, we have to enforce it now. And there has to, we cannot give these guys who have filling stations near near homes a holiday to say, it's okay, you can stay. This law is meant for the future filling stations that are going to be constructed or built. I believe this law must be must be enforced by everyone, must be followed by everyone, meaning even those that have filling stations closer to residential areas should be relocated to places where they are safe, because once the accident happens, we cannot take our people's lives back. But this time we can prevent it by relocating, because it's just money. And then relocating the filling station elsewhere, and put the tanks, of course, underground, not overhead, because of safety measures. That is part of development, because we are preserving and preventing lives that we may lose in the future if such eventuality happens. Otherwise, the move is welcome. The law is very much welcome, and it should be implemented. It should not be selective. It should be applied to everyone that owns a gas station, and those that intend to have gas stations. They should build those facilities away from residential areas, or 40 meters rule should apply. And the ERB should not just issue these, and these other companies, the environmental impact, whatever you call them, storage, they should also take part and make sure that no one is treated with baby gloves over issuing of certificate or licenses to build their filling stations in the residential areas without following the current new law. So otherwise, it's a good law. It will save so many lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mkelebai. We do appreciate, and without much ado, we quickly get to a set of two stories that are interrelated. Then we get viewpoints thereafter.
They say life is a wonders complex that never ceases, and sometimes things are not just unbelievable, but unimaginable, as a Copper Belt-based woman has been left traumatized upon discovering that the child, supposedly her grandson, never existed, but it was just a game played by Purity Mulenga, who was allegedly parading someone's child to extort money from the family of a man who impregnated her. Miss Mulenga has since been arrested.
Bana Jonas kuna matumina phone nje beli yawe bana Jonas phone yabo tairefika asina ne wile ndesha phone taire station taire bathuru na okay. So nomba efyo nomba ine twalere paisa pitana kaidi amadezi fya nono na shida mfomo ana wanja isa ulubile kuma 23 hours pa phone alisa alelanda pa phone bamudala mwinjipa ilo mwana bamudala mwinjipa ilo umwana umulumende wewe nebeli yawe nalaipa shani umwana wenu ine uyu mwana kashali kunganda kumwanzi kunganda kumwanze kwa nomba mwana nisha mushire kwiso uyu mukashana Purity ashire kwiso mwana atawe uyu mukashana takwata po mwana.
And this is the house where Mrs. Chilombela came to see her purportedly grandson and named him Jonas.
Umwana omwaume uyo mwana chachine na mafotos na likopere na mafotos ninkwata mu phone fiance fina bana kulwa bene bapano pene panganda bare itokwe bati banyi na wa mukashana bapokerere na fiance so nomba uli omwana ineneshina nalinike ali pano pene panganda.
And Mrs. Chilombela's family has expressed shock that the child they have been supporting is not their relative but was being used to extort money from them.
Nipokelera kwa benya ba umfeni ko baba londurere ala batile Purity takwata po mwana Purity fumwa kwetera fuminena dena kopa beoti diali ona ikapama months ali 6 months ifumwa no mwana kwa posta tatwa ishiba namba ngoyo mwana balebo mfyo ko bati Purity ali kwata mwana wa bana ni Purity alebo mfya vyabufi abo bana kulunga kono pene panganda kanshi bali ninkama na Purity no yo wino mwana na mafotos aya ninkwata aya uyo wino mwana ifoto wale tumine fintu so hapo kwani kubasenda kuisaisa pona bana kulubantu baishesa ngati naba butukange fifine malo twaishireza kwa sanga titabalipo.
She has since vowed to take legal action on Purity and another woman who for now is only identified as Banakulu in order to deter who would be offenders.
Bali ukumutia wabarebe kwa basokolo kemwe bantu bakwale sanga baladila abantu abo bene abo balila lero teine ina na abasuwinga ngakuba kakisha ndeba kakisha bali abachita
Before broadcast time, our efforts to get the views from the Zambia Police Public Relations Unit could not materialize. Patrick Soko. In a bizarre circumstance, a man of Lusaka's Garden compound in Mandevu constituency has been arrested for allegedly having sexual contact with a dog. Wife to the victim, Tuesday 25th April 2023, reported the matter to Emmausdale Police, saying her husband has been having carnal knowledge of an animal. The problem is believed in the last 5 months, and ever since the couple has been having disputes, with the recent incident being this April 2023 during the Easter holiday, as the accused was found naked with a dog in a bedroom by his brother-in-law. The allegations, which the accused is believed to have admitted during a family meeting. The wife to the accused was further prompted to report the matter to the police after observing abnormal stomach and abdominal pains. The matter was further escalated after the family of the woman refused to allow their relative to be in a polygamous marriage together with a dog, as one of the relatives whose identity has been concealed explains.
Report. The brother to my sister witnessed the husband to my sister sleeping with the dog. He had to remove his all clothes and he took the dog inside the bedroom where the brother to my sister sleeps. So that was around midnight. Mr. Lungu, who is the husband to my sister, never thought my brother, whom he stays with, will come back. He thought he won't come back. So unfortunately, when he showed up, he found that it was happening. And now, having the evidence at hand, Mr. Lungu felt guilt, so he started slapping my brother.
The family wants the marriage to end and that the law should take its course.
She called the family, they sat together, and the husband admitted that yes, he has been sleeping with the dog. And now the family wanted the marriage to be terminated.
It is a criminal offense to have sexual contact with an animal. According to Cap 87 of the laws of Zambia, Section 155, any person who has carnal knowledge of an animal is guilty of a felony and liable to imprisonment for 14 years. Before broadcast time, our efforts to get an update from the police could not materialize. Patrick Soko.
Some of these things that are happening today, but testifying that these are probably end times. Let's get your reactions, Mr. Mkelebai.
Well, that's a very sad development, but I believe if we're starting with a person who had sexual intercourse with an animal, if there is evidence to show that this person is not just hearsay, because people also can be a little bit tricky, especially if they don't hate you. If they hate you, they have other intentions. They can come up with all sort of allegations. Otherwise, if that really truly happened, then let them go to the police, and let the police will charge that person appropriately, accordingly. And it's against the law. It's not allowed. And already there's an issue to do with the woman complaining of abdominal, whatever. If that is related to an animal disease, I don't know. We're just speculating. So let her go to the hospital. Let them utilize the right channel, the proper channel, than spreading rumors or so that they spread that fire, because we don't have proper facts. Even on the issue of the other lady who purported that she was busy sending support of a child that was not there. That also, she needed proper evidence as well. If she can prove otherwise, let her go to the police and report the matter. People are very crafty. People can come up with all sort of ways of wanting to survive, especially when the economy is really biting. This economy issue will stand the test of time, and for us to get out of this, it will take time indeed. And that's why I always say I pity this current government that took over this huge responsibility, took over the liability from the previous, that the citizens today are going through a lot of challenges. And that's why we hear so many bizarre things taking place in a country called a Christian nation. We have morals. We have the spirit that we believe in God. We even call our country Christian nation. And then we start hearing things that are a taboo. They stink to high heaven. And we even surprised. Why do we even waste our time to call ourselves Christians when what we are doing to each other, it's something else? We don't love one another properly. We are busy defrauding our brothers and sisters. We are busy caging those or accusing people of having committed heinous crimes when they have not. We have so many things are taking place in our country. And yet, we are calling ourselves abantu bakwalesa. Having sex with a dog, you call yourself a Christian. If it's true, awe mwandini tukayapya sana kulilesa ngayoko abalesa. And stealing, lying to an innocent family to say, your child gave me umwana, send me some money. Na imwewe neba family kupwalala or kushishita. Why would you send money before even having visited the child yourself? mwaya mule tumempia mule senda fema pictures. You just look umwana tepo wapama pictures. Kuya konko kuya shibo poeka lo mwana. Ukuishiba ofo aleli omwana. Ukumona ko family afuma omwana. Notu mule tumafie FP. Ero tamwa ishiba tamwa tala yako nokumona omwana okote ekala shani omwana ni nani mwaume mwana kashio mumona fyama pictures. Na mwebene ba mwana mwebene bandala mabale tumempia na mwebene namkwata mwali kwata problem kya kukana kana abana mule konka mwaya not ukula tumafie mpia. You go and visit ngekala kukitwe ngekala kuchimwemwe ngekala kuisoko kukonka, so that you see this child. Otherwise, if you feel that mwana kuma social media yawe shani it's just sheer waste of time. Kabiye ni kukoti kamusuwinge numukashana or mutwale ni kupolisi that they will charge her with taking a pecuniary advantage katushimba mpero mulandunshi. Otherwise, na imwebe nema yo mulo tulanda ati contributory negligence na imwebe nema richita contribute pakula tuwale ndalama blindly pakula sapoto mwana tamwa ishiba tamwa imwikata pano kumwikata po blindly. So yo na yo na imwebe nema ali rufianya elo yambwa shalande po fingi because takuli na evidence tatuishibe no kushenga chachine olo nifira tulanda ati yo umuntu napona indo shina tuisangana ipona yale shita fly yale pupuko obushiku kanshi umuntu alwe dementia mukote I don't believe in those things until we have proper evidence na medical report, so that we know oloena obachitire accuse isumini nokutirati yo mkwa ichachine imbo yali girlfriend yanti nomba ndero eshembo balelanga pa video yaume nomba wondering nembo shonsele ashali kwatu wali kwatama gay imbo. Anyway, let me end there.
All right, thank you, Bomkerebai. CJ, what's your reaction there?
Okay. Thank you, Chaza.
Okay.
Okay, let me start with the one where the family was being conned. Okay, it's quite an unfortunate situation and funny at the same time. Can you pass a mamimba? Ya remote control.
You know, CJ, this reminds me of one of these popular drama series on TV where one person was told that it's a similar event, that he was responsible for some pregnancy, a pregnancy which was not there. Subsequently, he was brought a child that he started taking care of.
Yeah, these things, I'd say, they do happen, and yeah, from the explanation of that woman, that house that she visited, that's where they went to do the arrangements, probably the marriage issues. That's the house where they were shown that that lady lives. Okay, because that lady is from Copperbelt, but I'm going to say con woman is Lusaka based. Okay, but in this day and age, people have become so sophisticated. They do all sorts of things just to get money. So yeah, let that woman follow it up, go to the courts, go to the police, so that the con woman is dealt with. Mumanyumba, you find the people raising. It reminds me of Evangelist Shabura. Atikacha matestu manyumba mungankale nkondo mukapeze bana wamine mkulisa si bana wazibambo wazimaindi amine waziba batate babana bazona. So people are doing all sorts of things. So it's something that I think she should follow up and make sure it is dealt with. The other one involving the dog, that's a disgusting one. It's a disgusting one. Come on. The guy is married. Okay? The guy is married. He has a wife. Wakazi wake soma mbaya sana. Come on. If Visakuta better, maybe he end up at Chishala. You know, there are prostitutes, there are people who sell. But to engage with an animal, it's just disgusting and something else. And that is a criminal offense. Let the police come in and let the law take its course, because vintu vaso asivifunika nochita entertain. Such incidents shouldn't be entertained. From the narration in the story, it says that was the second time that that man was caught. Okay, and I had seen this story before some time back. Okay, it's like the woman had written in one of these pages where she shared a situation. So for me, I just brushed it aside and said that maybe Niko Panga chabi. But now, since police are involved, now it makes me think back and say, hey, can't see these things are happening. You know, let police come in, let that man be prosecuted. Sanga si mzimaya ndogwira God wawe. No. That's very disgusting. I'll end my contribution there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CJ. Mr. Mukeleba, I thank you so much. And the people out there following the program, the viewers out there, we greatly appreciate. This has been my point of view right here on Ubuntu channel. My name is Chaza. Till next time, God bless you all.